Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice little Sunday morning over here from a very dark, very dark today, Helsinki, Finland. Anyways, it is a Sunday, so we'll be going over a little bit of, I guess, more long-term analysis today. Obviously, recover the short-term time frames as well. Mostly just a continuation from yesterday, but more or less thing just sideways as fuck, as you would expect over the weekend. So with that said, we'd like to wish you the best yet again, and let's get into it right now. Starting with the Krown application over here, which can be found at app.krown.net. The link is in the description below, and it's also free as fuck, actually, FAF. Anyways, what do we see? We do see that fear and greed index continuing to crawl up, staying within the greedy zone, as you would expect, after pretty much a $16,000 unabated rally off the $40,000 low. Bitcoin dominance still holding it steady right around 44.5% as well. I do look for this to go up and into the 50% regions over the next couple months here. That is looking really good. Anyway, as far as top 10 best coins go, we see a couple of outliers here. Stacks, Clayton, XRP, actually all with double digits. Big moves on Stacks, actually. Good name for a coin as well, I suppose. And into the mark data tab we should go check out right here. And what do we see? Global funding rates continues to trend up, still not anywhere near a significantly concerning region, although, trending up is what you would expect during a nice prolonged upside move. On top of that, we do see that the global leverage ratio obviously is, taking back up here again. So people putting on their levies, huh? And open interest also, if I can remove my face, as you can see over here, is crawling back up towards levels that we saw in late August. Not necessarily in the super concerning levels that we saw from early September or, of course, the April pretty much all-time highs, but still in the back of at least in the back of my mind's eye right here as a concerning factor at some point, but still just not actionable. So I do think, or I strongly believe, that this is going to come to fruition at some point, just not right now, as I want to see that tick up, a little bit more. But with that in mind, let's go on into the charts right now, starting off with the short-term timeframes, of which yesterday, what we were looking at right here on the GDX chart. Well, we did some sort of the red LARP lines, and hey, what do you know? It actually worked out pretty fucking well, huh? Anyways, Bitcoin more or less just playing out and filling out the range. And more importantly with this, well, we did have a little bit of a breakdown, I guess, in the nighttime hours for myself. I was sleeping. What do we have yet again? Another higher low, huh? Crazy how that works out. And now Bitcoin testing the top side of the range. Looks very like that. We're actually going to break out to the upside right here. Anyways, check out lower term time from momentum oscillators and see what they're suggesting. Hourly hidden bullish divergence, so we're going to the moon. BBWP is expanding off the lows right here as well. And hourly jewel also with upside posturing, so looking good. Full hour obviously looking decent as well. Hidden bullish divergence come off the last few lows. And of course, approaching the top side resistance that we had from yesterday is not necessarily a bad thing if you do want to be bullish. And same thing over here on BBWP. We are expanding off the lows as well, so this move could very well have some legs on it. And as we do approach the top side of the short-term range, still like to see a closure above this region, 55,850 to be fair. And then yes, I would be looking for a bit of an extension on this move here, as we do see a short-term a short-term measure move off of this target right here would put Bitcoin somewhere in the shallow $58,000 territory early week here. Ultimately, do I think that things would stop there? Probably not. Just put it bluntly, probably not. Why do I say that? Well, mostly because if we were to pull an extension on this from our prior range here, which we can do like so, we can see that while the 2 spot extension is right around that region, you usually don't see things top out around there, just short-term highs, more or less. And ultimately, I'd be looking somewhere around the 272 or the 2414 in this case. And as you can see over here from our measured move off of the cup and handle target as well that we identified last week, well, that would be actually significantly higher as well, obviously pointed towards a much more prolonged move in this case. Anyways, with that in mind, this should naturally line up with our volume profile analysis here as well. And what do you know, if we just kind of zero in this region right here, the last of the high value nodes coming in, guess where? 58,000 to 59,000 bucks region right here. And then ultimately, I do think that Bitcoin would essentially have a free ride towards its prior all-time highs in this case, and then very likely find a local high on the daily, probably, right around 6,000 bucks, give or take a little bit from that region. Why do I say that? Well, because we are starting to really get hot here on BBWP for the daily specifically. We're already in the 90 percentiles right now. And I like to look for local tops or local bottoms once we get above 90, especially 95 percentiles. So for right now, this is shaping out to be more continuation before a pullback. But at some point, do be aware that Bitcoin, technically speaking, is not put in a higher low after taking out the last $48,000 lower highs. So while obviously we do have higher highs and looking really fucking good on higher term timeframes, At some point, Bitcoin's going to pop back down, set in a very likely higher low, scare the shit out of everyone, probably scare everyone out of their positions at the same time as well, and then give another try. In this case, trend continuation to the upside is kind of what I'm looking at right here. Anyways, what's the most important thing to be aware of in the next 17 hours, 41 minutes, and 27 seconds? That would be the weekly closure, as I asked this question to myself. And what do we see right here? Bitcoin's brushing up against the top side of the Bollinger Bands yet again. 55,600, the magical number for this one. Closing anywhere around there is going to look really good for the next couple of weeks, and essentially imply targets back around your all-time highs. Again, that would also be confluent with that low $60,000 territory. I think I also pulled up the same extension over here, and of course the same sort of measure move as well, pointed up towards the 1618 actually at 68,300 for more long term, assuming that Bitcoin essentially closes above its all-time highs on a weekly closing basis. So maybe not necessarily happening this week or next week, but a little bit down the road, looking pretty damn good. Again, assuming, because we're making an assumption here, that Bitcoin will close above it. I really want to see it close like healthily above it. It would be concerning on the weekly here if let's say we break down before end of day and close below 53 to 50 to 52,000 bucks especially, but 53,000 bucks kind of my line in the sand for that one being more immediately bullish, I do suppose. Anyways, with that in mind, let's see what we got going on over. Oh, actually, we should also cover this up as well. Weekly, really fucking important right here, right? If you're the most conservative trader of all time, well, then you're going to essentially confirm your weekly uptrend as soon as tonight, as well, with any sort of a closure above this last lower high at 52,000 bucks as well. So of course, we did have a little bit of a stutter step over here, but here's your high, here's your low. Here was a lower high. That's what I was getting bearish off of a few weeks ago. Then Bitcoin pops back down, puts in a higher low, and then obviously takes out the last lower high. So by definition, we can't have another lower high. It must be a higher high, and very likely looking at trend continuation right here alongside Bollinger Bands. So looking good is essentially what I'm suggesting. Also, just as an aside, my PMAR right here, just as a general aside, it does seem that when we're generally above the moving average on this, well, generally bullish. As you can see, the last time we were maintaining above, especially the 50 percentile region, was coming back from October 2020 before this mega run right here. Obviously, when we lost it in actually March, April, that was, well, downside displeasures, if you will. And then, of course, same thing back on over here. Boom, nice move. Boom, nice move. Boom, great move. All this stuff. It's not super precise, as you can see. You do get some ebbs and flows on it, but the slope of it plus the actual positioning of the PMAR around it seems to actually really do well for the macro direction on the weekly specifically. Anyways, let's get into it right on over here now as well and look at some momentum oscillators. We do see on the weekly, we're gonna have a chance to force weekly stops back onto the upside. Guess where that would actually turn around? 55,450. So we see a few things pointed within that region. So not only would we have Bollinger Bands, volatility, and trend, but we'd also have momentum as well. So that would be kind of the trinity or quadrunity, at least in the way that I look at things, assuming that Bitcoin can close above that region. But it's a long day left to go. A lot can happen during that time. And in this case right here, it's looking good. It's just, want to see that confirmed, obviously. Even HVP on the weekly actually pointed up here yet again as well. Want to see that get and expand above 50 percentile, but so far so good essentially. Anyways, go through actually the lower term time frames now from a momentum oscillator perspective, and we got 4-hour Stokes actually playing out the same trend line that we see coming in from here. Also going to be remaining with upside posturing as long as about 55,000 bucks. We see the 12-hour is going to be 54,800 or so in the critical territory, to be fair, but hey, it's what you do expect during your strong trending moves, and daily 55,600 as well. So actually a lot of things pinned around that region. I'd go as far as saying if Bitcoin closes the daily above there, we're very likely to see somewhere around 60,000 or low 60,000 bucks in the next week or two. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Anyways, hourly should probably go over this as well. 54,500 going to be the magical number right there. So I do want to go back on over here into the shorter term timeframes. And while we are brushing against the top side of this four right now, and things are looking good, until Bitcoin actually breaks it above, we've seen plenty of fake outs here and there. And this wouldn't surprise me at all if it were to do the same thing. So what would be my disposition if that were to happen? Well, probably another test back down to the bottom side of the range. If that were to happen, probably another higher low at that point as well. Now, the only time where I really start to consider this this a local high, which would actually spill into an analysis of a local high on a 12-hour and a daily as well, which, by the way, right now it's just not looking like. But if it were to happen, I would confirm that with a 4-hour closure below the same pivot that we've been having for this past basically week here, or I guess last like 3-4 days, which is 53,700 on a 4-hour. Could even use an hourly on this one as well. I mean, that base working really, really well right here. And if Bitcoin were to take out that level to the downside, look for first to move somewhere around about $52,000. Give Bitcoin a chance to bounce there. Analyze it after that. Maybe she tries for a higher low or not. If that area does fail, at that point, I'd be looking somewhere down around about 49.5, and same sort of analysis there as well. You know, looking for a higher low first and foremost. And Bitcoin does have its higher lows. I mean, especially as long as you're above, you know, $47,000, but technically speaking, as long as you're above $41,000 right here. Although I would probably draw the line in the sand at about 48 in this case. And that rhymes, so it's good. Anyways, okay, cool. So we're already 10 minutes into this video. We got all of that done and out of the way. Nice and simple today. Okay, so let's go look at some fundamentals over here and see what we got going on. Obviously, the hash ribbons indicator is still undefeated, I guess, or not undefeated, but mostly undefeated, looking pretty damn good. Weekly accumulation distribution indicator is not negatively sloped, but just neutral right now, which is fine. Doesn't really give us any major biases. I'm curious what the 5-day looks like. Starting to lose its downside curvature as well, which would be a good sign. What about the monthly here? I'm sure that this one's still down as well. That's not going to flip around anytime soon, actually. But here's the thing about the monthly, and something significant that happened above last month's high, that $53,000 pivot right here. You know, I was postulating a potential move back down to mid to low $30,000 territory earlier this month, or I guess more like late September month, before Bitcoin took out the $44,000 high on the way up. That's what kind of negated the immediate targets to the downside. But in this case right here, based off the monthly, I don't believe that that's going to be happening, or at least the probability of it happening is very, 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 very low. Yes, there is a pretty much undefeated read of the quarterly, which anytime that's gotten anytime we do get a quarterly reversal, which we did have right here, it's always backfilled on the prior quarterly open. But you know, in this case, well, I guess it's still possible. We can still get something like this at some point, but for right now, you know, things look good, and it's just easy to go with the current trend, I suppose. Anyways, going back on over here, I do want to address something. I'm going to give credit to Mr. Nimbo for this one, for finding this, but basically on the monthly right here, just a weird thing, just a really, really weird thing, that in the month of September, basically in the month of September, whichever way that we resolve it the month afterwards, there's been a pretty consistent trend after that. Let's just call it that. So let's go back to the last one. I'll just kind of run you through this. All right, so September closes over here. Bitcoin takes out the top side of November and goes on for, I mean, basically a mega rally. So we don't need to go over percentages right there, but a lot you might say. Let's go test it a little bit more. What about September 2019? You can see that Bitcoin tries to test the wick high of it, does not take it out. What happens after that? Down we go. You know, on a wick basis, about 60% move to the downside. Concerning, right? Again, the second that we take out the downside of the wick, just, you know, for the next half year down. What about in 2018? Well, you probably already know this one. Again, closes red right there. Does not take out the top side of wick of it. Instead takes out the bottom side of wick of it, and go fuck yourself. Right after that, about 47% to the downside. What about back on over here? In 2017, we do see, where's September? There it is. September, you know, wick low right there. Obviously not taken out. We take out the top side of it and go fuck yourself to the upside. 300% move to the upside right there. Not bad. We can do a few more, but I think you're getting the point by now, and it's actually very consistent. Same thing over here. Take out the top side of September, and onwards and forwards we go. Where we stop, only Bula Jesus knows. Same thing over here. September, Doji Doodle on the bottom, takes out the top side of it, and continuations. September is happening right here, takes out the bottom side of it. We even test around, we even get the backfill on last September open, but no wicks above, and down we go for, you know, basically, 50 to 60% move right there. Same thing over here, September. Actually, this one does take out the wick low of it, so not fully consistent, to be fair. Although no closure obviously below it as well, but more importantly, very, very consistent right here. And we have obviously another few iterations right here, boom, and right, where is it? Right here as well for a downside move. Very, 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 very good right there. And obviously we've already taken out the top side of it. You know, generally speaking, Bitcoin has gone on in the past for like 300 to 40% rallies above that region. Just out of curiosity, where that put Bitcoin, you know, 300% puts Bitcoin at 170,000 bucks. 400% puts Bitcoin at 200,000 bucks. Take that as you will. Now, with that in mind, and while I am macro bullish on Bitcoin based off of the last quarterly closure, which we went over, I guess, a couple weeks ago when we actually got the closure, we did get everything that we're looking for to remain with macro bullish, or at least macro bullish bias for myself. And in this case, I'd even go as far as saying that we're very likely to make new ultimate highs before end of year, maybe even this month or next month. In that case, we're already pretty damn close anyways. Well, at that point, I mean, things just look generally good. I mean, this is... if you show this chart to just anyone and said, identify the trend, you'd say up and to the right, most likely. And I'd agree with you strongly, actually. Really, really good right there, obviously. Anyways, anything else that I want to get into right here? I don't want this video to actually be too long today, just because this is rather simple. But we can also kind of look at further points of confluence towards those upside targets, of which, if you were looking at the past ratios and percentages as relevant, well, guess what? Guess where the 272 extension off of our prior macro base is? Actually, at about 180,000 bucks. The 2414 is about 235,000 bucks, kind of overlay between those two targets. By the way, that is where our last cycle topped out at the 2414. Just for what it's worth. And it is also where the prior cycle topped out before that one, just for what it's worth. And it's also where the prior cycle topped out in 2013 on this one right here. And it's also this one right here as well. So very, very interesting stuff if you do want to look at the macro right there. I don't trust this stuff too much, and obviously it's not really relevant towards my trading, which is more lower term time frame focused, but interesting nonetheless. And of course, Bitcoin over the past few weeks has done something really important right here from a Bitcoin log curves zone perspective, as Bitcoin does hold within the yellow zone, obviously, which is kind of like our mid cycle support in the past, after putting in your green accumulation phase of which we did do about 3 years there, similar to the past. And then typically Bitcoin's found its highs around the top side of the red, which is now rising up to the heavens let me just see, at about 135,000 right now. And obviously that will go onwards and upwards as time goes on. So the longer that Bitcoin kind of drags this area out right here, naturally the cycle top end of that, if you are going with this as a legitimate indicator, which so far has been pretty damn good, will naturally expand. So does it get around those 180,000 to maybe 200,000 numbers? Perhaps yes, definitely possible, I suppose, depending upon how much longer we take around here. I would go as far as saying, obviously, Bitcoin is going to go on another melt up towards basically 6 digits if we do start to close above, basically 60,000 bucks. So looking good right there. I mean, the macro is good, but more importantly, over the last couple of weeks, it was really, really imperative that Bitcoin put in the low at $40,000 territory right here, because that was obviously holding into the yellow zone, and also putting in the higher low as well. So trend as always first, and getting it rather well. And now price action just following through, so looking good. Anyways, is there anything else that I want to get onto? I don't want to make this too long and painful. Short-term time frames, just be aware of where you're at right here. While we do have hidden bullish divergence and even a jewel signal as well, it should be known that CME did close the week at 55,180 right here. So do be aware of that. Actually, even if you're looking at a lower term time frame, did kind of close on a downtick and would probably imply move down to 53.5, just for what it's worth. I don't have any major issues with this on, obviously a daily, but if we were to put in a local high right here, yeah, I'm looking somewhere down around like 51 to 52,000 bucks, and give it a chance to put in a higher low. Somewhere right around there would look good. Because CME is a little bit more of a downside setup for what it's worth. Yeah, if we look at an hourly right here, I mean, it's still holding the range, to be fair. I actually want to see a breakage there, but momentum oscillators are certainly more on a bearish posturing, with volatility expanding alongside actually a downside signal right here, and even hourly bearish divergence showing itself, rearing its ugly head. Personally speaking, though, I think that we probably just get a swipe of this region right here, and then probably try another move. But fair enough, always open to new possibilities. And until Bitcoin really gets that critical closure on the short-term timeframes right here, I do look at this as still more or less ranging. And, well, if CME has anything to say about it, likely downside, actually. With the other higher term time frame, say, yeah, 12 hour not looking too out right there. Daily's fine, but, could very easily put in a local top right there. 2 days, same thing. 5 day was actually very, very important as well. So while we do have a major range right here, I think that this really helps even out the data, or the data, or whatever the fuck that word is. as long as Bitcoin's above 50,000 bucks, it is macro very, 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 very strong here. Let's actually go see did CME close above the topside Toronto band here? Yeah, it did. Or sorry, no, hold on. We close 55,180. Topside is 55,500. In this case, pretty much close enough. Yeah, if there was a pullback down around, 51 to 52,000 bucks, I'd look at that as an opportunity most likely. Very likely to see expansion here to the upside. Really, 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 really good stuff, actually. And then the 5-day also did the same thing as well. And that one actually I have a little bit more respect for as a time frame for what it's worth. And obviously spot price action did something relatively similar over here as well, of which we do see that 5-day BBWP is starting to officially point up again. This is not what we saw actually coming into the last closure. So this is actually significant right here, coming into the same areas. By the way, we contracted into the same areas that we saw in July, late July, before the mega bear trap, in early May before the mega bull trap, and October of last year. And of course, before that, we can just kind of give some, some insights into what those moves were looking like. The last one obviously producing, from bear trap to next major high was about a 60% move. Not bad. What about the one before that? This one obviously going to be to the downside, giving us a 40 to extended to about 50% move right there. So pretty damn good. The other two that I have on the board right here are obviously more bullish posturings, as you can see. This one coming off the lows and giving us about 100% move over the next couple months, and then obviously expansion to just new all-time high party after new all-time high new all-time high party for the next couple months following that. And then this one over here for an almost immediate 40% move to the upside. Again, it's direction neutral, but in this case, I do favor trend over everything else, and Bitcoin has already confirmed a trend reversal to the upside right here with the last 5-day closure, even if you're super conservative, as we did get that closure above the last high in this case. So, just playing around with numbers out of curiosity here. Let's see what we got. Well, if we were to add like 40% on to our current price action, that would put us around pretty much per all-time highs, just under 59,000 bucks. Interesting. What about what about 60%? That puts Bitcoin at that $68,000 target. Interesting as well. And then obviously onwards and forwards from there, we're just getting into moon boy territory, which, well, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But here's the thing, the question right now is, does Bitcoin resolve the short term to the upside or not? Momentum oscillators do say yes. Do I trust those over the weekend? No. Do I trust those in general? A little bit. But basically, Bitcoin is either putting in a local high right here, and we probably come back down somewhere around low $50,000 territory, try for a higher low, or Bitcoin does continue here, very likely makes a move towards 59, 60,000 bucks, probably puts in a local high there, and then comes back down and sits in a higher low in like the mid $50,000 territory. Obviously, we want to see this from real time, but for right now, this is just continuation as it is, and I think that's a good place to leave off this video. I hope this one serves you well. I hope this one is everything you wanted in your life and more. Or if it's not, tell me how much you hate me in the comment section below. With that said, I'm signing off now. Take care. Elsa's not waving in the background because she hates you. And until next time. Oh, there she is. Good night.